do some announcements and then invite Chris to do the bowl.
Okay, after I do.
After you do that, I'll come up.
You'll do that, and then I'll do the chalice lighting.
And then I'll do the justice and
Justice and
generosity. Yep. Okay. Okay, so many moving parts. Okay, so we need the choir up here, right?
Yeah, some of them were hemming and hawing about what they were going to do. Sometimes we need to be told what to do.
Okay, well, let's get everybody and tell them to get their persons settled in the chairs.
Waiting for the
Just you and me.
Good morning.
good morning. My name is Ellen Greenwood, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And it is definitely my privilege to be worship associate for our service this morning and to welcome you to Westside UU Church. Westside is a congregation that welcomes each person, each one of us who comes into this community with an open heart and an open mind, regardless of the path we may have taken to get here. We welcome those of you who are here in person in this room and those of you who are joining us on YouTube, either right now in real time or at a later time. And my hope is that whether you are right here with us in person or whether you are with us virtually, you will find, as I do almost every time I am in this gathering, on your screen if you are watching from home, and you can always find out what's going on here at Westside through the Wednesday newsletter. So that's always an important resource for us. I do want to point out that the Committee on Ministry is meeting today during the potluck, so all of us on that committee need to get our plates filled and head to the RE room where we will be meeting. And I also need to note that the Building Your Own Theology class, which is very popular, is now full. So it will be offered again, I'm sure, at a later date if you missed out on this one. But it is full for the time being.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. I am Reverend Carol Bodeau. I'm privileged to serve here as minister. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Special welcome to those who are with us virtually. We're really glad you're here as well. You will notice that things are set up differently today. We're going to explain that in a minute, but a couple more announcements. So, next week, we're going to be doing a service about hope. And that's going to be a service designed to be just inspirational thoughts, quotes, readings, music. So if you have a reading or a quote that you think we should include in next week's service, you can email it to me, but I need it by Wednesday morning. So if you have any, like a poem or a short reading that you think would be great for that service on Hope, please email me, Reverend Carol. It's revcarol@westsideuuc.org. Email it to me by Wednesday so that we can include that.
That's me included, because every Sunday morning since the campaign started, I said, I have forgotten to bring a check this Sunday. So please think about that. You'll get more reminders.
Thank you. And one more announcement that's directly related to today's service. So today, the reason the room is set up the way it is so that instead of looking up here at me, you look at the center. In the center is our table that is the focal point for our All Souls service. This is the service when we remember people who have died, also animals that have died, that are in our hearts and minds. So we're going to be having some time to reflect and to write some names, maybe speak some names. At the end of the service today, rather than closing in here, for those who are willing and able, we're going to go outside to our memorial garden. And we're going to be having the last little bit of our service in our memorial garden. And that partly is because some people who have passed in the last few years have not had memorials, and we haven't actively remembered them as a community. And also it's to remind us that the memorial garden is something that is always available to us. So in the coming months, I want you to know that we will be providing more information about how you can actually reserve a spot for yourself or a loved one in our memorial garden. It's a place where ashes can be interred in the garden. Plaques are placed with those names on a wall there. So I just want you to know that more information is going to be coming out about that for those who might be interested in that. So today's service is about death, which means it's also about life. It's about memory. It's about loss and love. And so I invite you throughout the service today, if you happen to bring a photo or a memento of someone that you're thinking about today, feel free to come up during our opening song in a few minutes that the choir will be singing and place it on the table. Also, that's a good time if there are any kids, Leslie, who want to go back during the song is a great time to do that. But this is a time for us to be reflective. So I'm going to invite Chris to invite our bowl to sound to bring us into that time of reflection.
Goodness or joy or hope. And I would like us to light our candle of concern this morning for all the people, perhaps in this community and definitely in the wider community, who are anxious because they do not know what will happen with their SNAP benefits, for all those people who struggle to find nutritious food to feed themselves and their families, an effort which is becoming harder and harder these days. And similarly, a candle of hope, because ever since all the hoopla and the crisis with the government shutting down has threatened the SNAP benefits, So many people and agencies in our community have been stepping forward. I see individuals posting that they will help someone. So many restaurants are offering meals to people in need. And definitely organizations, I think of Second Harvest, for sure, but also a couple of agencies that are our justice and generosity partners, like definitely Mobile Meals and Knox Pride, which has become an important resource for the South Knoxville community. So a candle for all of them.
So this morning, we're going to juggle the order of service a little bit, and we're going to talk about justice and generosity right now because it's related to this. So, as Ellen mentioned, there are organizations we are associated with that are providing meals. So Mobile Meals is our current partner. So that means that we have already committed a financial contribution to that organization, but if you would like to make an additional donation to Mobile Meals, you can do that using the QR code or the box. There are 2 boxes in the back of our sanctuary, always. One of them is for making a donation to our general fund. Okay, that's to help our operating budget. That just goes into the general pot. You can also make a donation directly to our partner for the quarter in the second box. You can use the QR codes. You can simply slip cash or check into those. I want to tell you about one other resource that it's important to know about right now. It's a very new resource. There's a new website. It was created by the governor of Tennessee to help people find both resources for food and to also be able to contribute. So that if you can go to foodtn.org, foodtn.org. That website just came up last week. It is a website that shows how you can volunteer, where you can drop food off, and if you need food resources, how to get them. So please be educators in the community and let people know about that, because that is a resource that people are going to be needing in the coming days. So.
Carol mentioned our own little basket right out.
Yes, thank you, Judy. That's a good point. So we have a basket in our foyer where we collect food donations, and Jerry and Alice Thornton take those. Jerry, what's the name of the place where you guys take those?
Farragut Christian Church on Admiral Boulevard.
Okay, those go to Farragut Christian Church on Admiral Boulevard, which has a food pantry. So we take donations directly here, so you can also do that. You can drop things off here, and they will go to that local food pantry in our local community. Okay? So there are lots of ways we can be taking direct action right now to be helping with that. So we're going to begin now with, now that all the announcements are done, we're going to have the choir poem to us. This poem, and Brad's going to have the words up so that you can read the words. This poem is a Theodore Rothke poem, and it evokes the season that we're in, the season of autumn. So I'm going to invite the choir to, Ellen and I are going to step up and join.
Unto
So that song, as I said, it's a poem by Theodore Rothke set to music, evokes a certain mood of the season. And the season, the word that always comes to me for this season of the year is melancholy. It's a melancholy celebrations, but the mood is a bit mellow. The days get shorter. The light has that golden autumn slant, sometimes even in the middle of the day. Earth-based traditions call this the New Year. In some traditions, it's All Souls. In the earth-based traditions, particularly the Celtic-based ones, it's called Samhain. It's a time when people say the veil or the division between life and death, those of us who are still here and those of us who have passed on, when that connection or veil between them is at its thinnest. As the leaves fall and the crops die back, it is time to think about what is over, what is complete, what has passed, and what it is time to put to rest. Last night at our Samhain ritual that we had here, we did a wonderful ritual of honoring what projects or things we had intended this year that were not going to be completed, things that it's time to let go of. So at this time of year, before the flurry of the holiday season, it's good to pause for a moment and reflect. It's a good time to think about what has gone before. So in the All Souls tradition, we honor specifically people or animals whom we have loved that have died. And we think of their lives with gratitude and acknowledge both the gifts that they gave, the things they taught us, and also we honor challenges that we may have faced with those that are no longer with us. It is difficult sometimes for us humans to think about death. It's a topic we avoid. Someone said to me this week that they really dislike the phrase past, to say that someone had passed, because it felt inauthentic to that person. And what they were saying is, we have a really hard time naming that death is a part, that the cycle includes both birth. I just want to make a little shout out to our new baby in the room. Yay! And I also just want to say it is perfectly okay to have the sound of children's voices in this room. That is, yes, woo is right. Woohoo, that is right. Because it's all one piece. The fabric of a life, of a human life, of an animal's life, of a plant's life, of an insect's life. The fabric of a life includes beginnings and endings, birthing and dying. It all goes together. As a community, it is our commitment to honor the whole cycle of life. Not just the easy parts, but the difficult parts too. So today, in the center, what we've put on the center is some of you have brought photos or mementos of people that you are remembering. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with this small tree, this was created, some of you may not know this who've been here a long time. This little tree was created by Jonas Holdeman. It was built by Jonas. And what's on it is leaves with names of people who have been remembered in previous All Souls services. And the vase is filled with the names of people who have been remembered in previous services. And I want you to look in the rows that you're sitting in. There are little paper baskets and pens. So while I'm talking for the next couple of minutes, make sure a couple little pieces of paper and a pen. Share with each other. Make sure that you all have something to write on. That's why we gave you hymnals today, so you'd have something solid to put your paper on. So we all handle death a little differently. You know, some of us handle death in a very practical way by thinking about the stages of grief. Others of us handle it by being useful or helpful. Others of us need to put it aside and not think about it. One of the reasons we've created this table in the center today is to give us something to focus on. Now, some of us are going to want to look at that candle that's burning. Others of us are going to look at the color. Others want to look at a pine cone or the representation of the tree. That's simply a way of saying we handle this differently. Ministers, one of the things ministers often say and that we're taught is that every new grief brings up every old grief. How many of us have ever cried at a movie? Or a Hallmark television commercial? Right? Or okay, this is going to sound really dumb, but I actually cried at the New York Times puzzle game on NPR this morning. Go figure, I don't know why. We hold a lot of unspoken grief in our bodies, in our hearts, in our minds, and it can appear at a surprising moment when we least expect it, right? So often, a new grief triggers all the old grief that we've never dealt with, right? Grief, even the smallest little reminder, can make us feel reverberations deep, deep, deep into our being. So it is wise to take time to actually honor that loss, those echoes of loss, the remembrances of loss from times past. And here's the thing about what that covers up. When we avoid death, when we avoid the loss, we deprive ourselves of something essential, which is the depth of human connection. We can only lose that which we have loved and been connected to. We can only feel grief over something that we cared about. So when we deny ourselves the feeling of loss and grief, we deny ourselves a true sense of the depth of our connection. But yet we can't help but seek that connection, can we? How many of us have ever owned a pet? Unless it was a parrot, because they live a really, really, really long time. If we decided to care for a pet, we knew when we made that choice we were going to lose that pet. We knew it, and yet we made that choice anyway. We know that loss is inevitable in our lives, just like we know that the fall will come and the leaves will drop. Just when we plant a crop in the field at the farm, we know it will end. Just like we know that the seasons are going to turn. We know that human loss is inevitable. And yet, it's inevitable in a way that can give us hope. Now, that sounds weird, doesn't it? The way it can give us hope is to make us grateful, to make us appreciative, to give us a resource in the face of difficulty that is life-affirming. So today, let's take a few moments to be grateful. So does everybody now have some paper and a pen? Is there anybody who still needs paper and a pen? Now, you can have more than one piece of paper. So what's going to happen is I invite you to be writing down the names of those you want to remember. Maybe you want to write a few words about them. This can include animals. And I want to make a special point about who we want to remember. Sometimes we think we should only remember people that had what we would think of as a positive impact on us. People that made us feel good. But I would invite us to go beyond that. Let us remember and honor those who challenged us, with whom we struggled as well. We can feel deep and profound loss for those who touched us in painful ways. And those losses are important too, because they are losses of hope, possibility. Loss from a relationship gone wrong is just as powerful as a loss that comes at the end of a relationship that was joyful, right? So include anyone who comes into your mind or heart. Don't censor yourself. So while you write and reflect, the choir is going to be singing Bright Morning Stars. Bright Morning Stars is a traditional Appalachian folk song. We don't really know when it was first written. It was probably sometime in the 9th century. It was first recorded in the 1930s in Harlan County, Kentucky. And it is meant to be a sort of message about hope. Now, people have changed the words of this as many times as there are iterations of it being sung. So we've got our own version of it. But it's about reflecting on how we remember, how we think about those who have gone before us. So as they sing, I'm going to invite you to write, and if you feel ready, whenever you feel ready, to come forward and drop your leaves, your pieces of paper, in the vase at the front of the sanctuary here in the center. And then after that, we will have an opportunity to speak names. We're not going to tell stories about people today, but we're going to collectively speak names out loud. So I'm going to invite the choir to prepare to sing as I light the candles. Please feel free to keep coming up and putting more names in the vase as you feel so called to do. Found in this room, and we can say as many of them as we can think of, right? Found in this room, and we can say as many of them as we can think of, right? So we're just going to speak the names of all those we are thinking of. All together. Beulah Marzov. Carol Coffey.
Maxine Herbert,
Orly Marzov.
Grandma Garrett, Mary
Frank Hoy. Yeah.
Margaret,
Is there another round worth in us? Let's begin again because I know there are more. Chris Miller, Eric Olson. Think to yourself, any names, whisper, speak out loud, any other names that come to you. Yeah. Yeah. Eric, Chris.
Edith, John,
What are we grateful for? Having them in your life. The years together. Life, memories. Tears. Grateful for tears. Theodore Rothke wrote a more extended poem about grieving titled The Far Field. It describes what he learned about death by watching nature on a farm. Theodore Rothke actually was a Michigan farmer. I just learned this about him. He was a Michigan farmer, so his words have a special resonance for me because I grew up in Michigan farm country. He talks about watching the cycles of nature. He talks about the suffering he saw in nature on the farm. Death wasn't always beautiful. It didn't always look like we want it to look. But he says somehow that grief was alleviated in the spring when birth started happening again. And over many years, he developed a relationship with death and life that was rooted in those cycles. In a poem that was published after his death and written shortly before it, where he was clearly reflecting on his own mortality, he said this. This is a poem called The Far Field. He learned not to fear infinity, the far field, the windy cliffs of forever, the dying of time in the white light of tomorrow, the wheel turning away from itself, the sprawl of the wave and oncoming water. Leaning into the cyclical nature of life, Rothke said, the river turns on itself. The tree retreats into its own shadow. All finite things reveal infinitude. What could that mean for you? What does it mean that finite things reveal infinitude? Perhaps infinitude rests in memory. Perhaps infinitude abides in love passed from generation to generation to generation. Perhaps infinitude rests in a lesson learned, a quality observed. Perhaps infinitude abides in the things that aren't lost. Think about those that are no longer here. What we loved about them, we still love about them. We can still be present with those qualities. We can still call them up in our hearts and in our minds. They are not lost. They are changed into something different. They are transferred from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. But yet they still abide with us. And that cycle, the turning of the cycles, that's the part that's infinite. Each of us is finite, but the endless cycling has infinitude in it, and we can know that we are part of that. We all have different ways we think about that, but every theology, from atheism to humanism to Christianity to New Age spirituality to Buddhism to every one of those philosophies or theologies, somehow addresses the question of finitude and infinitude. So there are things that we deal with all the time. We're going to sing a song together about this, about how we are all connected, from our ancestors to ourselves to our descendants, right? So and you actually can use those hymnals that we've actually put out there. We put them out so you'd have something to write on. You can actually use them. We're going to sing the song that's number 1051. We Are. This song is a song about how we are our ancestors' prayers. Think about that for a minute. Imagine great-grandparents thinking about grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Think about people who were born 200 years ago, imagining a different world that we now live in. So we are the lived embodiment of our ancestors' prayers, and the prayers we have now will be borne out in future generations. We are part of this great cycle. So the way we're going to sing this song is that first page. Those of you who read music, you'll know what I mean. We're going to sing that first page twice. There's a little repeat sign there. And then we're going to sing the next part straight through without repeating it. And then that last page, we're going to sing that last little bit, those last couple lines, twice. The choir's going to stand up, but you all can stay seated. So I'm going to invite the choir to stand to sing this.
We are a grandmother's
So, each of us was once a brand new child. Each of us will become an ancestor. Each of us embodies the entire cycle. Let us remember that, and remember that each person who has touched our life has also held the entire cycle in their bodies and in their spirits. So what I'm going to invite us to do now, rather than closing, is if you are willing and able, we are going to go gather around the memorial garden. The easiest way to do that is to go down the hallway and out through the classroom to do that. There are some chairs out there for those who need to sit. We did not have enough chairs for everybody. So if you are able to stand, I invite you to stand behind the chairs and leave the chairs for those who most need the seats. And we're going to go out there and we're going to speak and honor the memories of the people who, specifically West Siders, we are thinking about today. So let's take about 5 minutes to gather our coats and go out.